Hey guys, welcome all. So let's get started for today. Now, there are few students who are joining new and there are few who have already been there. So you will see there are few topics being repeated, but most of the topics will be new only. Now, we will start with DevOps. And to start with DevOps, the prerequisite is to start with Linux. Now, why should I talk about Linux and what is the benefit of going ahead with Linux? You should understand Linux. Is Linux and Unix two different things or the same thing? So we will be talking about the history of Linux. Where did Unix come from? Where did Linux come from? Then what are the various distributions of Linux? What is the Linux file system? What is an operating system? How to do permission, how to write scripts, and how is the Unix architecture looks like. Now, all of us will know one thing, that in our laptop, in our desktop, in our server, we have two components. One is hardware and the other one is software. For this hardware and software to talk with each other, I need something called operating system. When I talk about operating system, broadly, we have classified our operating systems into three parts. One is Windows, Microsoft Windows. Third one is Mac, and the third one is Linux or Unix. Now, as per the market share, if you go, Linux is the most widely used tool for server. So when I say Linux market share, when it comes to server, you will see there is a good amount of servers which are running on Linux. So on cloud, we will be talking about Linux. So you can see here, Linux kernel is being used by 43% of the organizations. So if 43% of the organization is using Linux kernel, it means I should learn about Linux kernel. And when I will be dealing with servers, it will be very helpful for me to go ahead and work. So I should know what is Linux. First thing. Second thing is the question to be asked. So the question to be asked here is that why is Linux being used so widely, or what are the benefits of Linux? So if I just go here and say benefits of Linux, the first thing which will come to know me is that Linux is cheap. It is lightweight. Okay, so let me just come here. Or let's be here only. So if I talk about operating system, I told operating system is of three types. One is Windows microsystem or Windows Microsoft. I have Mac by Apple, and I have Linux or Unix, which is free of cost. Now think of a scenario where you have 20 servers to take care of, and all these 20 servers need an operating system. Definitely they'll need an operating system. Now for Microsoft, let me say you are spending per software, you're spending $20. So if you have 100 servers, you end up paying 200, this much amount of money just for license, which is a costly thing. Okay, so I would always want that I do not spend unnecessary money. Obviously, if I have Mac, I have to Mac. If I need Mac, I have to buy Apple hardware, which is again costly. So my motive here will be that I want, or I should go with a cheap version of stuff. So one thing which gives me a weightage here is that Linux or Unix is cheap. Most of them are free also. Now, what makes it free? How come something can be free? Now, to understand this, I will go ahead and wait a second. To understand this, let's go a little bit behind in history and talk about the history of Linux and 1 second. So let's go a little bit back and talk about the history of Linux. So in past, we saw that softwares were not that evolved. Okay. So when I say softwares are not evolved, so today if you go to market, okay, you say my RAM is not working and you replace your RAM. Or you say my hard disk is not working and you replace the hard disk. But somewhere in 1970s, this RAM and hard disk was same. Means the same component will act as a hard disk, the same component will act as a RAM. The problem is if RAM fails, automatically hard disk will also fail. Now this is a problem. There is a problem in RAM, but along with RAM, hard disk is also failing. If there is a problem in hard disk, RAM is also crashing. So that was a problem. Now to solve this problem, what scientists or the computer engineers at that point they did is they started working on a software, or they started working on an operating system. An operating system which will treat RAM and hard disk separately. Means there are two different components. RAM is RAM, hard disk is hard disk. Okay. So if there is a trouble with hard disk, I'll only replace hard disk. If there is a trouble with RAM, I'll only replace RAM. But till 1970s, there was no such software or there was no such operating system which will treat RAM as RAM and hard disk as hard disk. So somewhere around in 1970s, again, all the major big giants like AT&T Bell Labs, GE, General Electrics, your MIT University. So all the software developers, software programmers at that time, they started with a new software. They started developing a software called Multics. This software was something which they newly started with. And the good thing about this was the big giants of IT were investing here. So a lot of investment was made. This went for approximately 9 years, but there was no output. It means companies who invested money here for 9 years, they failed, or this product failed. Now, once this product failed, this is the history here. So somewhere around in 1960s, they started MIT, AT&T Bell Labs, GE. They jointly started working together with a time-sharing operating system which will treat hard disk as a hard disk and RAM as a RAM. And they named it as Multics. But they were not able to succeed and they failed. But after the failure, Bell Labs got frustrated, AT&T Bell Labs got frustrated, and they left funding the project. Obviously, seeing the size and the complexity of Multics, they did not want to go ahead and they slowly came out of the project. They came out of the project, but there were few scientists or software engineers who were still working there, like Ken Thompson. If you know C language, you might have heard these people name, Dennis Ritchie, Doug McCloy, and Joe Osana. So these were the people who were still working. And finally, in 1979, they came up with a software and they named it as Unix. So they started around 1960. They worked around 19 years. And after 19 years, they were able to come up with a software which was named as Unix. Now, this was a game changer. Why was this a game changer? Now, everything or every develop will be based on Unix. So Unix was a game changer. Now, if there is a product in the market which is going to be the game changer, the big IT companies, what they will do? Big IT companies, what they will do? They will take the proprietor or the ownership of that software. So what they did is they took ownership of this software. They started buying this software from AT&T Labs. So first, when the product came, Bell Laboratories started owning, or they purchased the product, and then they started selling the products to big companies like IBM, Solaris, HP, and Apple. So all these companies bought Unix and they named according to their requirements. So IBM named it as AIX, Solaris named it as SunOS, HP named it as HPUX, Apple named it as OSX. And they started using it. You will see, why is he talking about a technology which was 1980s? You will be shocked to know that new things like Android is new, right? Android also uses Unix. Android is based on Linux. So in the background, still Android is running on Linux. So you can read this. Anyhow, so this was a game changer, and big companies like IBM, Sun Solaris, HP, they bought this software and then they started using it. So till this point of time, it was a costly software. Only limited set of users had access to this. So still cost was there. Now, there was someone who was working in the background. His name was Linus Torvalds. So there's a guy called Linus Torvalds. Don't remember the names. I'm just giving you a context. So there was a guy called Linus Torvalds who was working in the background, and he came up with the exact replica of this. Exact replica of Unix. And he named it as Linux. Now, before people can do much about it, he made it free. He gave it free to everyone. He gave the source code and now it became free. So something which was damn costly in 1970s, 1980s, in 1990s, it came as free. Now, if it comes as free, everyone adopted it. Everyone. Whether it's a small company, it's a big company, it's a medium-sized company, all the companies adopted this software. Now, if something is free, you do not get support. Why do you need support? Suppose I got it for free. So let me say I was walking and on the way I found a phone. I took it up. I went home. I saw it is not working. I cannot blame anyone. I cannot say, hey, this phone, it's not working. But if the same phone you have bought from a shop, then if it is not working, you go back to the shop and say, see, it is not working. So here, Linux came as free, but there was no support. So the companies who were using this software were in problem. They took it for free, but who will give the support? Now, the same companies who were giving it for free, they started charging it, like RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Edition. So Red Hat will provide two versions. One is community version, which is free of cost, and the other one is Enterprise Edition. So the moment you go for Enterprise Edition, they will charge you for the usage. Obviously, they will provide support in case you are having a problem. So now we will also see, we use AWS free account. If I'm using AWS free account, there is some problem. I cannot go and simply start fighting with AWS because it's a free account. But if I'm using a paid account, I can anytime go and fight and say, I need a resolution now. That's the difference. So now what happened is I got a software which is exact replica of Linux and I got it free of cost. Everyone was using it. Why? Because everybody thinks of saving the cost. Then few companies lacked support. So companies started two editions. One is free of cost. Other one is Enterprise Edition. Today also, if you go to Linux, there will be many softwares which are free of cost, like CentOS, Debian, they're free of cost. But there are few here which are paid versions where you have to buy from that particular company. So your call. If you want to take it for learning purpose, you can take the community version, do whatever you want to, nobody can stop you. But if you are doing it for commercial purpose, you're building some software, you're selling some software, in that case, you have to go with the Enterprise Edition. Done. Now, one thing which I understood is cost. So when I talk about Linux, cost is one of the big driving factor. The second is it allows multiple users to log in at the same time. Now, if you are using Windows, if you're using Mac, How many users can log in at the same time? One user will log in, then he will log out, then the other person will log in, or only one user can log in short. But Unix or Linux allows you to allow multiple users to log in at the same time. Third, it is secure. Due to the architecture of Linux or Unix, it is secure, better than Windows and Mac. You can argue on that. No, Mac is better, Windows is better. But when it comes to server, you will see Windows and Mac lag when we compare it with Unix or Linux. Third, it is lightweight. So I will be teaching you that when we are using Docker containers and all, we use this operating system because it is very light. Our operating system of Linux may be somewhere around 40 MB. And if you're going with Windows, probably it will be 4 GB. In fact, the Android one, which also nowadays will come with 8 GB. Mac will also come with like 15 or 20 GB. So you can see the operating system itself is so big, so heavy. But when you talk about Unix, it is only 40 MB, 30 MB, 20 MB. So it is very, very lightweight. It gives you access to the source code. Now, what does that mean? Now, let me say I'm using Windows. In Windows, I don't want Windows Media Player. I don't want certain set of softwares, but these softwares come as an inbuilt package. Means whether you want, you don't want, it will be there. And you do not have access to the source code that you can go and change. Okay, the default features will be there. Like if you're using a Samsung phone, the Samsung will come with its features. If you're using a MI phone will come with its own features. So if you have a MI Pay or anything you want to uninstall, it will not allow you to uninstall because it is inbuilt. But here, they give you access to the source code. You can anytime go and change the source code. If you don't want something, let it go. If you want something, add it. So you can customize it as per your requirement. It is secure, lightweight, cost-effective, and multiple users can log in at the same time. Keeping these many benefits in mind, this became the talk of the town. Everybody wants to invest and work on Linux. Now, this course is not to make you Linux administrator. So I'll not go very deep in Linux because I will go only that much deep what is needed to become a DevOps engineer, to become an AWS engineer. I don't want to make you a Linux administrator. So I'll not go very deep. Okay. So it gives me access to the source code and these are the benefits. Now, this is the reason almost 50% of the companies in the world are still using Linux. More importantly, modern softwares like Android is also using Linux and Unix. So it is very important. So I just gave this context to set I just gave this example to set the context. One more thing is it gives you good speed. So when you talk about speed and performance, it gives you a great speed. Now, many a times when you're working with your laptop, okay, so let me say you're working with your laptop. So let me say this is your keyboard. You're typing something and it pops up here in your screen. Now, have you thought, how is it happening? How come whatever I'm typing in my keyboard is popping up in the screen? Is there someone? Yes, there is someone. There is an operating system. There is a software in between who is facilitating this communication. But between these layers also, there is one more guy called kernel. So if this guy is my hardware, on top of hardware, I have my software. And in between, I have something called this guy. In between both of them is known as kernel. So if I have to broadly say what is a kernel, kernel is a channel. It is a way in which software and hardware can talk with each other. Because at the end of the day, both software and hardware have to talk to each other. So kernel is a channel by which hardware and software can talk to each other. Done. Why am I talking about this? So the speed, the performance we are talking about is because this, whatever you write on the shell of the kernel, on the outer layer of the kernel. This is the layer of the kernel. So whatever communication you have to make, it is very fast. And that's the reason it is also known as shell script or bash script. Okay. So the reason behind the performance or the speed which you get when you use Linux or Unix is that it is lightweight. So if you talk about Mac or Windows, there are 5 layers of security, or even if there are not 5 layers of security, there are many UIs to be taken care of. So when you talk about Mac and Windows, they are mostly used for general purpose, or they're used for user interface. The user should get a good look and feel, and they concentrate more on look and feel. But when I talk about my Unix system or Linux system, I concentrate more on the performance, on the speed. And whatever I write on the shell of the kernel, on the topmost layer of the kernel. And hence, I get the great speed. So let me just come here and show you all these things in my slide. So this is what we spoke about. We started with operating system. I told that if you have a software and the software wants to talk to your hardware, it has to go through operating system. So whenever you buy a new laptop or a desktop, the first thing they do is they install a operating system. When we talk about operating system, we generally talk about Linux or Unix as a market leader. We have other softwares like Windows and Mac, but they are mostly for UI. But when it comes to server, most of the softwares you will see are on Unix or Linux. Unix is a proprietor, or it's a product which you get from the particular company. Unix was owned by Bell Labs, and then it was sold to other companies by a good amount of money. But then a guy called Linus Torvalds came up with the exact replica of this, and he gave it as free to everyone. So now we have hundreds and thousands of versions of Unix available in the market, or Linux available in the market. This Linux is a very low level system software, means does not have lots of features, but when you talk about servers, it gives you all the features which you need. Inside the software, or between the software and hardware, you have something called kernel, which will help your work to be faster. Linux, it has simplified update. It has multiple distributions, free software, no licensing required, gives you a better malware protection and access to the source code. Apart from that, you can do multiple logins. It is cost effective. It is cheap. All these features add up and makes Linux very important. This is what we discussed just now. I have hardware in the between, and on top of hardware, I have my kernel, and on top of kernel, I have a shell, or there is where I write all my scripts, and hence it is faster. And on outermost there, I have the software. Whichever you want to install, you can go ahead and install it. Now, one very important thing which you should know on Linux is that when I start with Windows, I say C drive, D drive, E drive, X folder, Y folder. But when you start with Linux, there is no concept of folders. In Linux, everything is a directory. So there is no folder, there is directory. Okay, or you can say whatever is folder in Windows is directory in Linux. Now, what we are going to do now is, if you have already attended the class, you will have this. But if you're not, or you are first attending this class for the first time, you will need an account on AWS. So what we do is we need to practice everything. I told that the training will be very much hands-on oriented. So we need a free account on AWS, because whatever we are going to do, we will be implementing everything on cloud. We don't want our local system to do anything, because nowadays everybody is going to cloud. So we will implement everything on cloud. The entire DevOps will be implemented on cloud. The entire AWS will be implemented on cloud. So if you have an account with AWS, then this section is not for you. But in case you don't have an account with AWS, I will tell you how to create an account on AWS. Okay. If you have an account on AWS, you can start practicing. If not, then you will have to first come up with the account. Creating an account is very simple, very straightforward. You have to just come here and say, I want to have a free account with AWS. And you can simply come here and say free account on AWS. So when you create an account, there are 3 types of services which are given to you. One is free on a trial basis, something which is free for 12 months, and something which is always free. Obviously, there are paid services also. So you stick or you try to be in the free tier only so that you don't end up spending unnecessary money. So always I will tell you, this is covered under free tier, this is not covered under free tier, but I will encourage you to practice. Even if there is some cost involved, it is good that you get your hands dirty and practice. So what you have to do is, if you have an account, you can directly come here and say sign in. But in case you don't have, I will do one small thing here. I will open Cognito window. Here I'll see the same thing, free account on AWS. And here it says that you can come here and create an AWS account. Click on this. Now there is a step-by-step approach to go ahead and create an account. I already have an account, so I cannot, or I will not create it again, but I'll show you the steps. There are 3 mandatory things which are needed. First, your email ID. Second, your phone number. And third, your address and the credit card or debit card detail. So there are 5 steps. You can see here, there are 5 steps. The first step talks about the email address. What email would you like to go ahead? Today, again, it will be only AWS account creation because we have covered the basics of Linux or Unix. Now it will be account creation, and then tomorrow onwards, we go ahead with practicing these sessions again. So the first thing what we need is, we need an AWS account. For that, you need an email ID. So I have a document which I'll share with you later in the class. So okay, so this is the document which I'll walk you through. So you are supposed to, or you are expected to create an account. The first thing what you are expected is, you should have an email ID. You go ahead and provide your email ID and the name which you would like to see on your screen. Then there is a CAPTCHA. Go ahead and provide that, and you will be sent an email to your email ID. So AWS email verification thing will be sent to you. Take the verification code and put it here, the verification code. So it confirms that, okay, fine, this is a valid Gmail or a Yahoo Mail, whatever account you have. Once this is done, it will ask you to set a password. So you can set a root password. A root password, or the root user, is the admin user. He will have all the access. So you are requested to go ahead and create a root password. Once done, step number 1 is complete. So the first validation of validating your email ID is done. The second confirmation here is, it says, will you be using it for a business purpose or will you be using for personal thing? So just now I told you, you have an enterprise account and you have a free account. So if you're using it for personal, mostly you'll be using it for learning purpose. So you can say, I will be using it for personal work, not using for business. So make sure that you say personal. Then you say, I will be going ahead and providing my details like my name, mobile number, my address. And then at the end, say, I agree with whatever you say or whatever you have told. I agree with that, and go ahead. So this is step number 2 done. In step number 3, it will ask you for your credit card or a debit card detail. Make sure that you provide either Visa, Master, or Amex card. If you're using RuPay card or any such card where international usage is not enabled, it will not work. And it is a mandatory step. You cannot skip that, okay, I will not give the details and I'll move. Why they require this? Because at the end of the day, Amazon is there to do business. They want that today, if somebody is using a free account, tomorrow they come up and do business with us, or they use my AWS account. And if they use, I'll make money. So they are trying to give you offers, or they are trying to bring you to cloud, but only genuine users. If people just come here and create account and go away, then they don't have any, they don't get any business. So they make sure that you are a genuine user, and hence they ask you for your credit card details. They will deduct 2 rupees or $1 from your account, and they will refund the same in 3 to 5 working days. So they say a $1 will be deducted from your account and the same will be refunded back to you. So you can provide your credit card details. You can say that I'm going to use my address, and then they will ask you for a PAN card number. So simply say, I don't have any PAN card number, and move ahead. Then there will be a OTP where they will ask you for 2 rupees deduction. You can go ahead and say, okay, fine, deduct this 2 rupees. And third thing is done. The fourth thing is where they will ask you for your mobile number. So on the mobile number, they will give you a voice call or they will give you a message. So what you can do is you can provide your mobile number, wait for the captcha, and after some time, you'll get an OTP on your mobile number, provide that OTP. So now the verification part is done. You have provided your credit card detail, you have provided your address, you have provided your mobile number, and you have provided your email ID. Then the last step says, what kind of plan are you looking at? You're looking for the basic free support, or you're going to use the paid version. So you can say, I'm looking for the basic free support. And if you go with all these things, they will unnecessarily charge you $29 per month or $100 per month or $15,000 per month. So I'm very hopeful that you are not going to spend anything on these things. Finally, you will see that you get a congratulations message and your account is ready. Once your account is ready, there will be a final thing here where they will ask you for a survey. They'll ask you, what do you want to do and why have you created this account? So you can simply go ahead and say that I'm a DevOps engineer, I'm a student, and I want to learn. Once done, everything is done. You get a thank you note and you get the login window where you will get a AWS console home or AWS console login. Using your email ID and your password, you can log in, and after everything is done, wait for this message to pop up on your inbox. So this message pops up in your inbox means your account is ready to be used. If your account is not ready to be used, some payment issue is there or some mobile number issue is there, the mobile is not getting validated. So all those issues can be there, but you have to get it sorted and you have to come up with an AWS account so that you are ready with your account. Once you're ready with your account, we will start with the hands-on work. I will do the hands-on in class. We will share the recorded sessions with you so that you can also practice the same. So obviously, when I'm practicing, you should not be practicing along with me because the speed mismatch will happen. I will be doing at a greater speed and you will simply lag. So request you not to practice in the class, rather concentrate and learn the concepts. And later when you are there in your home, the video will be shared with you. The recorded video will be shared with you. You can practice. Once this account is ready, you can simply close all these things not needed. You'll close all these things and you will come back to your browser. On your browser, you will get the URL. You can simply come here and say console.aws.amazon.com, and it will bring you to a page where it will ask you for your credentials. So I'm already logged in. So just let me log out. Log in back. So here for you, click on this, sign in as a root user. So you will log in as a root user. You will get a username, which is nothing but your email ID. Provide your email ID, say next, then provide your password, and then you will be able to log in. Once you log in, I will log in a different way. I'll tell you why, but okay. So once you log in, it will ask you whether you want to save all these things. I simply come here and say, no, I don't want to save anything. So you will come here, and the first time when you come here, you will come to this AWS page, which I don't want to see. So this I don't want to see. So you will come to a page which will be something like this. It says, get started with AWS training, this thing. If you have any issues, you open your issues. All these things will be here. Now, there are two important things which you should do here. First is you choose a region of your choice. Where would you like to practice all the things? Take one region and stick to that. Whichever is close to you, take that and start. There's no restriction here. Okay, because we are into our own account, there is no restriction. AWS global infrastructure. So if I go to this website, AWS Global Infrastructure, I will see that the services of AWS are present throughout the globe. So you can see here, whether you're in Asia Pacific, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Canada, wherever you are, there are services of AWS available. So you will see that it says there are 26 launch regions, means 26 different geographic locations where my services are available. If I have to make a choice, I will do something like this, AWS ping test. And I will try to see something which is very close to me. So wait a second. I will just do a latency test. Latency test is if I am connecting to sub server, how much time it will take for me to get the response back. Give me 1 second. So let me just do a ping test and check. So I'm just doing, if I try to connect to a server which is in North California, it will take this much time. Ohio will, see, Mumbai is taking less time because Mumbai is close to me. See here, 151. Jakarta is very much free, so it only takes 74 milliseconds. Singapore is also one. But if you see, Mumbai is somewhat close to me and hence the speed is better. But things which are far from me, like Stockholm is far from me, it takes 369 milliseconds. Cape Town, 491 milliseconds. Beijing and all, I don't think is operational now. So these websites which are, or these data centers which are far from me are taking more time. But something which is close to me is comparatively taking less amount of time. Okay, Mumbai, comparatively less. These are like, I think already the business hours is over, so they are showing less numbers. But anyhow, I can choose any region of my choice. Whatever you choose, stick to that. Okay. Now, for today, I will stop here. I don't want to go at a very fast pace in the initial classes. So I'll stop here. Today, we just spoke about the basics of Linux, various reasons why I should pick Linux, what are the flavors of Linux which are available in the market, and how to create an account on AWS. Easy things should be done today itself. The PPT which I'm showing you and the PPT which I'm showing you and the document which I showed you, I will share those with your coordinator. Please get in touch with your coordinator and take that content from them and you can start your work. So this work is, you will have to create an account. That's it. And if you have the account, tomorrow we can start practicing. I'll open it for questions. If anyone has question, can go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good evening.
Yeah.
Anji here.
Yeah.
I feel that you are going a bit forward in this explanation about the creation of account and then selection of the region, all those things.
I'll slow down all those things. You hold on because these are initial classes. Okay, so all
yeah, I know. I have seen your March month classes. Well, compared to that, and this is bit speed.
I'll take care of that. I'll slow down the speed.
Some information we are missing.
I'll take care of that. Just slow down the speed. That's okay.
Thank you.
So because this Linux also we can practice completely in this AWS platform.
Yes. That's why I'm asking you to create an account, because everything, if you don't practice, see, if you see it is happening, somebody else is doing, it will, it is very easy, but then you tend to forget. So we will practice everything on our account only.
Okay, sure.
Sir, this is Saifullah. Sir, I just want to know, I'm from non-IT background. Actually, I'm just trying to shift to the IT background. Would be fine for that, or there will be much programming this?
See, there is not much programming, but there is programming. There will be scripting. So if you have the thought that I should learn, if you have the enthusiasm to learn, definitely you will learn. And every time I say, IT doesn't have any criteria that if you are from a technical background, welcome. If you're not from a non-technical background, don't come. There's nothing like that. It is up to you whether you want to give that extra effort or not. If you're ready to give that extra effort, IT is easy, man. I have been there for 13 years. So I think IT is easy.
Okay. Sir, means what kind of programming will be there, sir?
It will be more of a scripting. You will have Python, you will have Java, you will have YAML, you will have Groovy scripting, you will have shell scripting.
Okay, means we need to learn the basics, or we should be going to the depth.
DevOps is an all-rounder role. You need to know everything little. Not everything is should be known in depth. If you even if you know little basics, intermediate level, your work is done.
Okay. This AWS DevOps or Azure DevOps, both are same or it's different?
No. Azure is different. Azure is different. AWS is different. Because the tools which are there in Azure are different. The tools which are there in AWS is different. So AWS is different. Azure is different.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hi, Vikas. This is Ram.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, actually, in this AWS DevOps, there is what are the tools required? Means it is I have some knowledge on this the theoretical information. This is a CI/CD process and GitHub and Maven and and Ansible and Terraform. These are all tools we have to get that good stuff on this.
Yes. Yes. You should know all these tools in depth. You should know all these tools.
Okay. In the everything is covered, Kubernetes and
so
CI/CD
please
process,
get in touch
Jenkins
with your
and
coordinator. He will share the course content. So all these things are mentioned there in the course content. He will tell you the details of what all will be covered here. But to answer your question, yes, it is covered.
Okay, this is that actual Linux commands also and Linux as well as Java scripting and
no, not Java scripting.
Python also covered.
Java scripting is not there. JavaScript is a different altogether. Python is there, Java is there, YAML is there, Groovy scripting is there, shell scripting is there.
Okay, Python also covered in this course.
Yes. Only basics, not advanced Python. We are not doing advanced Python work. Only whatever is needed for DevOps, we cover that much only.
What is after this course completed? What is that? What is the role? There is a developer role or which role assigned to that?
You can choose your own path. You can, if you want, you can go to AWS Cloud Engineer role. If you want, you can go to DevOps role. It is your call. You can choose the path. There are 3 paths after the course is completed. So in the demo I told, there are 3 paths. One is your solution architect. The other one is AWS DevOps. The other one is developer. So you can choose your own path once the course is done. Wherever
one is developer, second one is architect.
Yes, developer, architect, DevOps.
DevOps engineer.
Yes.
Okay, more experience the persons who are having.
It will depend on your personal interest. There is nothing like that.
More experience that persons are.
Okay, fine, guys. So I see these many questions. Now we can drop. We meet tomorrow again at the same time. Please get in touch with your coordinators. They'll help you to take it ahead. See you then, guys.
Okay, Vikas.
Because I have one question.
Yeah, man, please go ahead.
Allow me, please. See, once we just complete this certification or whatever the class is, okay. And as I came to know that my few friends having such a few opportunities in their companies, okay, but they are asking for some experience. So how we will show our experience? Because after this, as I'm non-IT guy, so I'll be a fresher for this.
So there are job. See, I don't know with what profile they have gone.
Right.
But I generally recommend that if you are from a technical background, okay, you put and your technical background and 5 years of experience, okay, altogether. 3 years you put on your old technology, 2 years in your new technology. You go ahead and pay 3+2. But in case, let me say you are working in a non-technical field, everybody knows that this is a non-technical thing, and you suddenly go and say, I have 5 years of experience, then that is a suspicion, right? So in that case, you have to go ahead and put your profile, then that is kind of inviting trouble. So in that case, you go as a fresher only. And fresher also is having good salary in DevOps, and you have to wait for 1 year or 2 years, and after that, when you make a switch, you easily make money, like good amount of money. So keeping future in mind, you can do good.
Okay. Thank you.
Because what is the VPN means?
VPN is virtual private network. So there is a concept of virtualization. Virtualization, simple meaning is like Google, right? Google has thousands of users who are logging in at the same time, and everybody gets a single user feeling. Same thing happens in cloud. There are thousands of users who log in to cloud, but every user gets single user feeling. None work is affected by others. That's known as virtualization. And to maintain that, there is something called VPN, virtual private network. Okay. Okay, fine guys. Then we'll meet tomorrow. See you then. Bye-bye.